All right. Hello and welcome to the Basketball Passport Pod. I am Leigh Ellis, joined by my co-host Anthony Irwin. Anthony, that video was not after a championship victory by any team. That video was not by like some team overcoming some enormous odds. That was from yesterday morning around 4
in a library.
4 a.m. Belgrade time after Partizan returned from a 2-game road trip and won both games in the EuroLeague. And they're not even in the play-in right now. That was how excited their fans got.
I'm thinking, all right, is this like a preseason game? Like, is this like what they do before every practice? Like the guys are walking in and fans just going nuts. Like I honestly don't even know where to set my bar for like what these images or what these videos are, because I know one's coming every week, and I'm like, I watch how excited everybody is in them, and I'm just like, all right, let's see where this is going, and I'm expecting, it's like a big rivalry, or no, this is just like a Wednesday.
It was a Wednesday. They're not even in the play-in group right now, Partizan Belgrade either. Now, obviously the wins get them closer there, and they weren't playing their biggest rivals either. So that'd be like the Lakers coming back from playing, say the Blazers and the Jazz on a 2-game road trip, and they're still out of the play-in tournament in the standings. And you would be at the airport there at LAX at 4 a.m. celebrating, cheering, dancing.
I think I would be alone.
No.
I would be alone and arrested.
Yes. Anyway, this is the Basketball Passport Pod with Anthony Irwin and myself. We go every Friday at around this time, and Sunday nights as well. We talk a little more general NBA, but if you want to be a part of the show, hit us up at the Basketball Passport Pod at gmail.com. We always can use some more questions in there. But on this show on Fridays, we just take a look about what's going on in the world of basketball, not necessarily only the NBA. We talk a little NBA, but as I say, you can catch that on Sunday nights. You can follow us here at youtube.com/basketballpassport, Lakers Lounge, where Anthony is, or my personal, which is Leigh Ellis 76. On today's show, we are going to talk a little bit about the rematch there between the Cavs and the Thunder. Unfortunately, didn't quite live up to the hype of last week. We got the third All-Star game returns yesterday. The FIBA Hall of Fame class of 2025 was announced yesterday as well. And we've also got something else from FIBA, their photo competition. And then later I'll talk a little more about my trip to Buenos Aires and Argentina. So, yeah, lots to get through. Let's just quickly go on last night's game, because it was hyped up. Thunder and the Cavs round 2. Last week they had a huge one, but this time the Thunder were not messing around. They got the revenge there, and for me, their defense, it's the best in the league. It was on full display last night. The Cavs in that first half couldn't even get a sniff. What were your takeaways from it?
Good God. Like, it was just... for one thing, it was a nice, solid reminder of how incredible that Oklahoma City Thunder crowd is. We started the show by talking about like how crazy crowds can be around the world, but OKC, now I think OKC fans are some of the most spoiled in the sport, because, and I don't say that like begrudgingly or anything. Like, the reality is the team moves to OKC. They get to watch Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and James Harden right from the get. Their introduction to the NBA is that trio. And then they also happen to have pretty easily the best executive in the sport at the helm. So, okay, yeah, we squandered that first opportunity. Just hold on for a couple of years and we'll be right back at it with somehow I don't think they have quite the star power of KD, James, and Russ, but it is like an extraordinary team that has an insane future ahead of it. And OKC fans are just like, oh, we're back. All right, we're back. And we're that kind of loud again. And I don't think the Cavs were ready for what was coming to them, because that was as impressive a defensive performance as I think we'll see this regular season.
Yeah, and you saw Dort at both ends of the floor. Like, he was all over Donovan Mitchell and then hit the 6 threes as well. I mean, I remember Dort from the bubble, and it was like, that shot wasn't very reliable, but he's just worked so hard that now it is that. And when you think about their best player, who I think is the front runner for MVP right now, I think despite Jokic's incredible numbers, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to win MVP based on right now. He's got the numbers, he's got the record, he's got the sort of momentum as well. I think it's like, hey, this guy deserves it because he's the best player on the best team. And of course, he came from the Clippers. The Clippers had him. The Clippers drafted him and decided, let's go for Paul George instead. And now,
they wanted Kawhi. Kawhi wouldn't have gone to the Clippers without Paul George being Paul there. And what an insane, fork in the road moment there. Really quick on Lou Dort. We've all played pickup, because this is a show, right? The spirit of the show is on a pickup basketball court. Right. We've all played pickup with a football player or like a rugbyer, right? If you're in Australia, and like the way that they play, they're just like, they are wired to be physical. They hand check like crazy. And if you ever even acknowledge the extra physicality, like, what, soft basketball player, what, and I feel like I'm watching Lou Dort, and it like brings back these flashbacks of playing against some dude who plays linebacker for my high school team, who has no idea about like what you're actually supposed to be trying to do on. Well, he has a very good idea of what you're trying to be doing on defense. He just has no idea on how you're allowed to do it. And he just like, he plays so physical from start to finish of the game. You can't call every foul because you can't hold up the game like that. So he winds up getting away with like 37 fouls. And I'm watching Lou, and it's like, man, this guy, like, every time he defends somebody, I feel like that person should be allowed to press charges after the game. And I say that as a complete compliment to Lou Dort. It's incredible to watch. He's so much fun. Like, rare player who is legitimately fun to watch on defense.
Oh, absolutely. And I look at him, and he's got the sort of chest and the shoulders of that football player. It's like he has packed the shoulder pads in there, and he's it looks like, it's like I can't see them, but I just know they're there.
It's like he tries to walk onto the court with a football mouth guard. Like basketball players have the one that like kind of hides under the mouth, right?
Yeah.
But he plays with the one that looks like a binky and attaches to a helmet. Like, he's just incredible.
But the thing is, with that Thunder defense, it just feels like there's so much energy on defense. They always switch, they always close out, and they just, they basically mug the opponent who has the ball. And it is physical, and then it translates immediately into transition opportunities, which just really demoralizes the team. I mean, the first quarter last night, they I think ended on a 19-2 run there, and it just felt like the Cavs could barely get the ball over half court, and if they moved it, it was like there was always someone rotating and getting into that spot. And the Cavs just couldn't even get a chance to sort of throw a counter punch or anything like that. So super impressive. And Gilgeous-Alexander again, I mean, he's got that sort of slow-mo Luka style to his game in so many ways that you can sort of see it. He's not super athletic. He doesn't jump super high, but he just gets to that little spot, nudges his opponent out the way, and he's got that mid-ranger. I mean, people talk about the mid-range being dead. Well, Shai's got it. And it's so much fun to watch. So it is fun. I love that crowd in OKC. It does remind me of the early Thunder years. They're so passionate. Because I don't think there's another professional football team in Oklahoma City. I know college,
Oklahoma, the University of Oklahoma is like as close as you get.
Yeah, but the fans there, to be back in this position now must be really exciting. So unfortunately, the game itself, I mean, it was a sort of fun blowout because the Thunder were just so good, but it wasn't what we were hoping for after what we saw last week.
The other thing that I was a little disappointed in was the framing of the game, right? Like, I thought the NBA did a fantastic job of getting everybody ready and getting everybody hyped for this game. That was between these two teams were on these historic winning streaks going into
Yeah.
the game, right? And I don't know. I felt like I felt like after all of that buildup, and then we saw the return, like the rating on that game was excellent. By regular season game on a Wednesday type standards. Like we we have the proof of concept. It's right there. You did it the one time, and then I felt like coming into this one, it was like, oh, that's right. The Cavs and Thunder play today, and it's like, guys, like you just had so many people watching that game. You've got to hype it up for the like as that game was closing. I thought ESPN did a good job of like, hey, by the way, if you like this, they're playing again in another week or so. And and I feel like that was about all of the mention of this game in the run up to the game. And I guess it winds up working out because it winds up being a blowout and all that stuff. But like, once you prove that if you put the work in, you can get the return on the rating, you should continue to do it. Like, one of the things I used to drive my dad absolutely insane about was because I'm a relatively smart guy. I'm not a genius by any standard or whatever. But when I was in school, when I was in grade school, I could get by with with very minimal effort and get the B that I need in that class. And I would always I would bring a test back and I would get like a 86 or something like that, like a solid B on it. And I was like, Dad, look, I got this 87 and I didn't even study. And my dad would be like, you're an idiot. Like, study. Because, they would.
You're so close.
You're right. Like, you're right there. If you're a few points away from an A, and it wasn't until like later in life that I recognized, it was kind of, I couldn't see the forest through the trees. Right. And I think right now the NBA, it's like it put in all the work. It got the A and it's coming back to us. And it's like, well, look at what we can do with like a C effort. It's like, no, like, we should be hyping these games up. These are incredible stories.
Yeah. I mean, it was on the NBA app. They definitely were promoting it there. But I also wonder, it was on ESPN last week. This week was on TNT. I mean, is that a difference as well? I mean, it probably doesn't help. It probably would have been better if it was, say...
Might explain why the NBA is leaving TNT.
Yeah. Well, possibly. I mean, I thought... that's obviously already scheduled, and Thursday nights are TNT nights. But
yeah.
Either way, anyway, I mean, like I say, I thought it was a fun blowout for first three quarters.
Absolutely.
I mean, one of those, because you see, it wasn't like, the Cavs sucked. It was the fact that the Thunder just were ruthless and relentless, and they had everything going for them. So that to me is what I was enjoying was the Thunder playing really, really well.
Does it make you think differently about what the Thunder are capable of this year? Because I've always thought that they're the best team in the West, undoubtedly. They did that without Chet.
Oh, I know.
And whenever they add Chet back, before Chet went down, remember when Chet was playing, they didn't have Hartenstein. So what do you do with the Thunder? Are we looking at a potential buzzsaw here?
I think they deserve to be favorites, largely because of all the other teams who are chasing them. I think Memphis is obviously good, and I think the Nuggets, again, the Nuggets can be great. But other than that, there's just no one else, I don't think, who is complete as the Thunder are right now. I don't see, a team that's genuinely like at their level in the West. Now, they could be, again,
maybe in the league.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. They could be in the West if the Nuggets sort of find their consistent form. I mean, Jamal had 45 the other night, which was good. But, I don't think the Rockets are as good as they've been, are close. And the Grizzlies are, good, but I don't think they're quite at that same level there as the Thunder. So where we are right now, the Thunder is, I always think it's really important to have had that one tough playoff loss, which they had last year to the Mavs. And so they're like, this is not the team that's just like, this is their first surge. They're like, oh, they've been there. They've lost. They know it's going to be tough. The Timberwolves could have been maybe a big threat, but they'll be lucky to even make the playoffs the way things are going out there right now. So We'll see. Anyway, also yesterday came out the final All-Star game returns before the announcement, and here they are. We have got in the front court on the West, the big three of Jokic, LeBron, and Kevin Durant. And then Victor Wembanyama is not a million miles away there from KD. I don't think he's going to get him because KD's got a pretty big fan base out there. But I would say Victor could make a push, but I just don't think he's going to get him. Jokic is safe. LeBron will make it. Of course, he always does. And then the backcourt guards, Shea and Steph Curry. Luka's not far behind, but Luka's missed quite a bit of time here recently, and I think that's probably affected his polling there, his voting. But he could catch Steph. Either way, Shea will start in the backcourt, and deservingly so. And then in the East, you got Giannis, Jason Tatum, and Karl Anthony Towns, I think, getting that real New York City boost. I don't think Towns would have ever been that high in any voting when he was in Minnesota. Then interesting, you got Banchero next, who, good player, but has just missed so much time, and he's on the Magic. So that's quite a positive sign, I think, for Banchero and the Magic. And then I don't think there's too much else after that. I don't think Jaylen Brown's going to make it. Mobley could. The Cavs have been doing really well. And then Jimmy's still there. It'd be hilarious if Jimmy made the All-Star team, but he won't. And then the guards in the backcourt. This is probably, I think, the most surprise for me, is LaMelo Ball is virtually a lock here. In fact, you can lock him in. He's not going to get overtaken for that number one spot anyway, on the very, very ordinary Charlotte Hornets. But he is the social media dream, LaMelo Ball. He's awesome, fun to watch. I love watching his highlights, but the Hornets aren't very good, and they don't win a lot of games. So what do you think? How do you think? I know this is not the final vote. There's media, and there's, of course, the players vote on them themselves. But for the most part, it doesn't really change all that much, and I don't think anyone's going to sort of overtake the guys who are currently in the lead in either conference.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what this would look like after the TikTok ban.
Yeah.
I just think that there's a really big disconnect. I saw there was somebody asking, I'm blanking on who was actually asking, but he was literally asking, for those of you who voted for LaMelo Ball, why?
That was Steph. No, I think that was.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there's a genuine disconnect there between, like, why is he there? Look, I think he's really fun to watch. I think he has taken real strides forward this year in terms of how mature he plays compared to years prior. But, like, there's no way, in no world should he be ahead of Donovan Mitchell this year, right? Yeah. Or Darius Garland, or Jalen Brunson, for that matter, from New York. That's pretty incredible what's going on there. I think that should be worth being studied, because it's not like there's this big push for it. Remember when Zaza Pachulia was on track to potentially start in an All-Star game? like that was a giant push that was made by a really annoying Warriors fan base. This has just kind of happened organically. I think it's fascinating what's going on there. And then in the West, talk about the Warriors, talking about LeBron, and in a very similar way, talk about the Lakers. You have these two icons of their generation in Steph and LeBron, and they are both in second place. So it's not like they are getting swept under the rug by any means. But I think you have two fan bases, in the Warriors fan base and the Lakers fan base, that is just fed up with, like, how those front offices have managed the end of these guys' runs. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of apathy towards both of those teams. And unfortunately, it's kind of being shown in these returns. Could you imagine? Now, I don't think it's going to happen, but could you imagine Steph not starting in a All-Star game in the Bay?
Yeah.
Like, this is, it would be one of the most embarrassing moments I think any team has ever had that isn't legal, that isn't like tampering or anything like that. Like, that would just be, that's as clear a statement from the Warriors fan base that, like, they are just done with the neutral state that and the stale state that the Warriors have found themselves in over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I think that would be a shock. I mean, again, I don't think Doncic is going to get him anyway, just because he's missed some time recently,
Yeah.
and that other 50% of the voting, they won't vote, I don't think, over Steph with Luca there. But theoretically speaking, if he did, I wouldn't even be surprised if Lucas did what Vince Carter did in 2003 to Jordan and say, "You start.
Yeah.
I'm not starting this. I'm not. I don't want to be this guy in the Bay."
Luka doesn't like playing in All-Star games anyway.
Exactly. So you can start, bro. I'm not starting. So, but yeah, it is interesting. I mean, that's the thing. It's in San Francisco, and you simply have to get Steph because they're obviously not going to have much other representation at all. I don't think over the All-Star weekend there. So, they would need to really showcase Steph, celebrate his fantastic career. And let him go out there and see if he can break his own record from Indiana a few years ago. It's 50, I think he hit with like 15 threes or something crazy, like that. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, the LaMelo Ball thing is interesting because he is. People say, well, he's an all-star game player. Absolutely, he is. But it doesn't look good for the league for me if you have the Cavs as incredible as they've been. And again, they may miss out completely. Now, listen, they won't because obviously Mitchell will make it as a reserve at the worst, and Mobley probably as well. Darius maybe gets in there as well. It's hard because there's always, it's almost like they're so even and they're so close that none of them really stand out more than the other in that sense. So, and Jalen Brunson, I think, is virtually a lock to make it. Lillard, Trae Young. I mean, these guys are on the periphery as well. One or two of those guys are going to make it as well. So someone is probably going to get squeezed out anyway in Cleveland. But LaMelo, it'd be interesting if, just be interesting to see what the media and the fans vote because I think he's going to really tumble there. But we'll see how he does. But are you going to the All-Star game this year? Do you think?
No, my wife and I have a tradition. We've been together for 20 years now, and like dating back to high school. And I've never been into Valentine's Day. Like it's not really my thing. Jen, however, was raised in a family that really did do it up for Valentine's Day. So she was like, "Well, I want to do I want to do a date. I would like to have a Valentine's Day tradition." So our tradition is we always find like a fun place to go and watch Saturday night. And so if I was to cover
that must kill the romance pretty quickly there. Watching Mac McClung throw down ducks.
The year that Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine were going back and forth at it, like it was like, let's get home.
Yeah.
But like, when it's some like G leaguer, it is kind of tough to be like, how much fun was that, baby?
Oh, baby, are you in the same mood as I am?
But I think this will probably be one of the last ones that this tradition will remain because I do think eventually it'll be worthwhile to go and cover some of these things, at least for like Saturday and Sunday.
It's in Los Angeles, isn't it, next year? Is that right?
I think so, yeah. So I'll probably be there for that one.
Yeah, San Fran, LA, and Phoenix, I think I saw, but
which means I now have to figure out another like an actual Valentine's Day thing.
I wonder how many relationships have been affected over the years by Valentine's Day and All-Star Weekend because I'm the same. I don't really celebrate it. I think our wedding anniversary is our Valentine's Day, and that's when we make some special.
Do you watch All-Star Weekend?
Yeah, we tend to skip over that, but it should be nice anyway there in San Francisco this year because it was Utah, Indiana, and Chicago and Atlanta before that cold weather city. So I mean, it won't be warm in San Francisco, but should be warmer than Indiana.
Be frigid either.
Yeah. The other thing that came out yesterday was the Hall of Fame class of 2025. Here it is. Quite a few names in there that you likely recognize. Mike Krzyzewski, Tina Pencheiro, the Portuguese WNBA star, Andrew Bogut, Dawn Staley is there. And the one right in the middle there is two-time Lakers champion and Spanish legend Pau Gasol. I imagine you have absolutely no issue whatsoever with Pau being inducted into the, in the Hall of Fame class anyway of 2025. What do you think?
Oh, he'll be inducted. He the impact that he had on the sport globally, right? Like everybody always kind of forgets that this is a basketball Hall of Fame. But well, I guess this is the FIBA Hall of Fame, so it's a different thing. But yeah, like Pau is, or was the centerpiece to the, greatest team in Spain's basketball history, right? Like that run that Spain had, they legitimately challenged Team USA in that final. That's my favorite basketball game of all time. He was a key, the best player on that team. So, he absolutely deserves that honor. Coach K does too, right? For his work in getting Team USA basketball back up to where it should be. Really cool to see Dawn Staley there, as well as the acknowledgments and honors kind of stack up for her. It's a great class on, those three names are going to be pretty tough to beat in most years.
Yeah. And see, shout out to my Australian brethren too, Andrew Bogut, also making it there as well. Obviously picked up a championship with the Warriors, but interesting though with Bogut, because on the Australian teams, they didn't win a bronze medal in the men's teams anyway at the Olympics or the World Championships, but came very, very close. And Bogut was one of those players, like a lot of people will say, especially with the Australians, and I see it myself, is when they put on that green and gold, it's that meme of Kobe and Shaq, the sort of reveal up. So many Australians like Delhi and Joe Ingles and Paddy and all those guys, when they play for Australia, it's like, man, they're just something completely different. And I think it was Rio in 2016 where Australia beat Serbia in the first round and then played them in the last game for the bronze medal and lost. And it was a tough defeat. But Australia battled so hard and came up short, eventually getting the bronze medal in the Tokyo 2021 games. But Bogut was not a part of that, unfortunately. So he missed out on the medal in that sense. But has been a great player for Australia over the years, and good to see him get that recognition. A surprise, like I say, that he was on there, because usually you want to see some sort of world championship victory, a gold medal or whatever, even a silver medal, like Pau Gasol had there for Spain, but Bogut didn't have one. So still getting that recognition and honor though is pretty cool. And then Coach K, I mean, man, he's just been there forever, and he's been around forever. It's funny that how long was he coaching Duke for? Do you remember? In the end, it was like 25 years or something, wasn't it?
It was by the time he finished, Duke had offered him a lifetime contract. So, like, I think there's only a handful of those out there in all of industry. So, Coach, I think it's Coach K Court now. I'm gonna show my colors here as a Tar Heel fan and point to the fact that the Tar Heels beat him in his last games there, both at Cameron Indoor and then at in the NCAA tournament. But yeah, the thing that I always really respected about Coach K and his coaching of Team USA was, because I think he went to school at West Point, right? And
I think so, yeah.
And so representing the country was a legitimate honor to him, and I think he really instilled that in the team. And like that Redeem team, it wasn't just about getting back to the top of the podium there and winning gold. It was about reinstating America as I think the year prior, the 2014, really was seen as the ugly Americans, right? It was thrown together at the last second. They barely participated in anything having to do with the Olympics. They just looked like they, thought they were too good to be there. And then they got their asses kicked. And I thought that like Team USA in 08, that Redeem team, not only did they get back to dominance and actually winning the thing, but you saw those players at a lot of the events. You saw them going nuts. Like there's when the swimming team won in that relay over France, they panned up and you had, I think it was Kobe going absolutely berserk.
Yeah.
up in the stands there. And I think that was because they have a documentary on it, and one of the things that was reported on and was talked about after was how Coach K said, like, we are there not just for the basketball, but to represent our country in ways that this team didn't the last time we saw it.
Well, that's right. In 2004, Vince didn't play, Tracy didn't play, Kobe didn't play, and their reasons were kind of like they just didn't want to. And I think
Yeah.
that was the sort of thing. Even after the 2002 World Championships, which America finished sixth, they didn't feel that like we have to go and send our best team. They still felt that any team would do, and they got the bronze medal. But it was just a bad team, and the vibes were bad, and it didn't feel like they cared. So the
No.
2008 Redeem Team was more than just about basketball. Although they say Redeem Team, they were still the 8-1 on heavy favourites to win gold. So this sort of like, yeah, man, we overcame everything to win the gold. It's like, well,
well, all right. In fairness, redemption isn't about being the underdog. Redemption is about like making up for looking like idiots the prior Olympics. Because look, I also, again, to show my fandom and my biases here. The coach of that 2014 was Greg Popovich, and there's always this debate over who's the better
Larry
coach
Brown.
between.
It was Larry Brown.
Well, he was on the staff. Greg Popovich
right.
was on the staff.
Yeah.
Also, Larry Brown was also. I also enjoyed watching Larry Brown not be very good at that, but I always like one of the things I like to say to kind of tweak Spurs fans is how, like, Phil Jackson never got a bronze. Now, he didn't really show any interest in that stuff because he's one of the most selfish people of all time. But still, like, but that 04 left such a bad taste in the mouth.
I was there in Athens, and I went to a couple of games. I went to Australia and the USA, and it just wasn't. It wasn't a team that you sort of enjoy watching.
No.
It was because it was Boozer, Allen Iverson, Tim Duncan, Lamar Odom, Sean Marion. I think Amari was on that team. LeBron was on it. Wade and Melo were on it as well. But the vibes just weren't there for that team. And I think Kobe is largely, again, in 2008, he was like, I'm playing defense on our best, on whoever the best player is. And
remember, he knocked over Powell.
Stature, that's right. That stature that Kobe had then was that, he was the old man, the sort of grandfather of that team already. But it was like, all right, I'm back, I'm playing, let's go get it. And it was in China. First game was against China, and they got it back. But yeah, I wish all underdogs were 8-1 on, man. I'd be a very wealthy person.
Absolutely, you're 100% correct. One of the points, I'm always so annoyed that my buddy Adam from DNVR and All City, one of the points that he made that I'm so annoyed that he was the one to make it and not me was how he links kind of the current state of American NBA stars to Kobe's death, and how I think Kobe would have held those guys to a much higher standard than we see in a more productive manner, right? Like all of the, you after Kobe's passing, one of the cool things to see was how many people he would just reach out to and offer inspiration to and all of that stuff. And, you look at that Team USA run that they were on, and all of those guys, LeBron, Melo, Wade, on down the line, all look back on it and say, learning from Kobe and learning that work ethic and that commitment to defense and that commitment to the team, in the way that Kobe was committed to that team, really kind of changed some of the trajectory of their careers. And I think this current crop of American superstars, Ja, Zion, on down the line, Ant, I think they're all kind of spinning their tires in the mud because there isn't that like guiding force that is actually productive in them guiding that era forward. And hopefully one will kind of come up again. But I think that's where we really miss Kobe. And I think that that whole experiment and experience was a perfectly summarized his impact on the game.
Yeah, there was someone, I can't remember who it was, who sort of got to the gym at like 6 a.m. and they were like, I'm going to go and get some early work in. And they walked in and Kobe was just like
walking
dripping
out.
in sweat, you know,
Yeah.
and like, what's going on? Like, Kobe's like, I've been here already for 2 hours, you know.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah, they
remember
were
who.
like proud of themselves.
Yeah,
They were,
yeah.
I think it was Wade, right? I think
Was it
Wade tells
Wade?
the story.
Yeah,
You Wade or LeBron.
yeah,
But they were walking in and they were like, haha, you know, I
yeah,
got my work in, didn't go partying last night. I'm gonna get here and show
yeah,
everybody what work ethic is like. And then Kobe's like walking out, like, yeah,
yeah.
machine's warm for you, bud.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. But you know, again, that sort of thing that Kobe did grow into in that leader, and you know, this is where I think it separates him from LeBron is that, you know, he stayed on the Lakers. He's that one team guy, and you know, his legacy is clear in terms of the team you associate him with. Whereas LeBron's, you know, I know we've talked about it before. It's like, where do you sort of rank LeBron? You know, where do you see him? Because he had the
Yeah.
most success in Miami, but I certainly don't see him as a Heat. I
No.
think Cleveland, obviously, where he started, he had the most important championship of maybe the NBA there in 2016. But now he's been at the Lakers nearly as long. I mean, he's still got a couple of years to go, but as he was in Cleveland, he's got the one championship, but it's that sort of, you know, it's a legit championship, but it's not like nothing like the Cleveland one over the Warriors was.
No.
And, you know, and the Spurs, you know, the Heat over the Spurs either. I don't think it's, you put it in that category because the Heat at the time in 2020 were obviously shorthanded and it was just a weird time.
Yeah.
Whereas again, Kobe, there was like the number 8 Kobe and the number 24 Kobe. But either way, it was all Lakers, and he went from being that sort of, you know, shithead kid.
Yeah.
He went through obviously as well what happened in Colorado, but then he came out of it in the end, um, you know, the right way. So
Yeah.
we'll, yeah. Anyway, interesting stuff there. Before I get to Buenos Aires as well, one more thing, FIBA related. I saw this going around late last year, FIBA photo competition, and it was basically like, hey, send your best basketball photo in. The topic this year is emotions, and so I threw one out there. And this is the one that I threw out. It's one of my favorite photos of all time. Although I should say it's on my camera anyway, because I'm actually in the photo, so I didn't take it, but it was on my phone that it was taken, and that is from the majestic Kalemegdan Park in Belgrade in Serbia. Just, I love so much about this photo, like just the bros on the court there. We're just talking after being running for like 2 hours. The actual court itself inside the old fortress, 2,500-year-old fortress. The sun was setting there. It's honestly only like 4:30 in the afternoon right now too. It's not that late, but we played, we ran, and then, excuse me, as is often the case, it's the post-run chats where you get to know each other and you start talking, you still start telling a few stories, you start laughing and hearing about everybody's background and what they love. That's what I really, really enjoy about this stuff when I go and pick up basketball on the road. Like, you know, getting to know guys and hearing from them and then just chatting. And I think this photo, I got lucky because the colors were just incredible there. The light in the background on that other court, you can see a few other guys playing at the back. That sort of helped light it up a little bit because obviously the sun was going down. But yeah, absolutely love that photo. And it's on my mug here too. It's the same one
There you
there
go.
that I have on my mug. But again, that photo, I submitted it. Now, I don't know if it's made it to the finals. I don't know if it's going to be a winner. They pick 3 photos out and there's prizes. I couldn't find a place to vote on the site, so I think it might just be an internal thing that their jury.
So if you're watching,
Yeah, if you're watching,
please
just
vote.
write to them and say, hey, this is my favorite photo. It's in there. There's 860 odd photos in there. So you have to sort of scroll through it because they don't actually say, hey, your photo made it. They just said, these are all the photos. Thank you for submitting. And I went in there and I'm like, I wonder if I made it, you know, and I scrolled and scrolled and scrolled and I found it. Like, oh, okay, great. So I'm in. So I'm a chance. Hopefully I'll hear in the next week or so if I win, but some incredible photos, just from all over the world, and go and check it out. I put that link in my Instagram stories, so you can go and see all the photos if that's something that interests you. But great stuff.
Kalemegdan Park. Really quickly, Nikola Jokic has his new shoe out, and they filmed the commercial for that shoe there at Calamagdan Park.
Really? I did not see that.
They did, yeah. I've been meaning to find a clip of it. The DNVR guys grabbed it, but I recognized the only reason I was able to recognize the park there that they filmed the shoot at was because of this picture.
Wow.
and the stories that you've told of your time at that park.
Yeah, I'm going to go and find it and check it out, because it's oh man, I mean, of all the places I've played, like there's been so many special ones, but this one inside the old fortress there, and again the conditions help. It was a perfect afternoon, just no clouds, big turnout. We just ran and ran and ran. No one was keeping score. It was literally just 5-on-5 for 2 hours, full court. Ton of fun. So maybe I'll bring that one back in the next couple of weeks. Where I wanted to head to though today was back to Buenos Aires in Argentina, where I was there over Christmas and had some incredible fun. Played a lot of games and really got to hang out with some very, very cool people in Argentina. And this is the I produced a video last week from the Manu Court in the park there in Savdara. And this is the one that I'm producing now, a little video here from my run in the area of La Boca, which is one of the biggest tourist areas in Buenos Aires. And what's really fascinating to me is the history behind this court, because this court is not really a place you go to have a big run. It's right in the hub. It'd be like a court in Times Square there, so it's a small thing. There's a lot of kids who just kick the football around as well. But what's really interesting is the artwork on the wall here. And the video that I'm going to release on Sunday sort of talks about how that artwork is not just, hey, let's just paint some stuff. It tells the story of the history of that area, of the city, how and why La Boca and Boca Juniors, who I'm sure you've heard of. Boca Juniors, of course, Argentina's most famous sports team, how they got their colors and how they got their name as well. So it's all told on the walls there, and it was a really, really fun place to visit. And most importantly, I think for you as well, get some really good Argentinian street food to go along with it.
My goodness. Every time you talk about this, I get like starved. I was able to quickly find that commercial if you want
awesome.
to
Let's take
a look at it.
Go for it.
Here you go.
Where you come from doesn't define who you are. Get ready to disrupt. Maybe you're not biggest, but you can take all the challenges. Maybe you're on the fastest, but you can take over the game. Maybe you're at the beginning, but you will perform under the brightest lights. Maybe you're someone like me, an underdog from a small town, but you can be whatever you want. Disrupt all the finishers, just like Joker 1. The Joker 1. Disrupt the game.
Man,
Is that it?
that's cool. Yeah.
That was at that park? I got it
absolutely
right?
that park. Absolutely.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. I bet you though
I pay attention.
I bet you that took Jokic like half an hour to shoot as well. He's just like one take on everything. I'm just have these guys play normal.
Disrupt game. Yes.
No, I mean, obviously it would have been, shut off that day for when they shot it. But that's the sort of thing, like, imagine you were there and you turn up and you're like, oh my God, Jokic is here filming a commercial, like,
Right.
Yeah, that's man, that's such a sick court. I hope to go back. The EuroLeague Final Four was going to be in Belgrade this season, but now it's actually going to Abu Dhabi, the hotbed of European basketball there. So unfortunately, I don't think I'll be back at in Calamagdan.
ATM of international basketball.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that's about it for this week's episode of Basketball Passport. Hope everyone enjoyed it. As I said earlier, Anthony and I will be back Sunday night around 8 p.m. Eastern when we'll talk a little more NBA news and events. If you want to be a part of the show, hit us up. The old email inbox there at basketballpassportpod@gmail.com, and we'll try to get to any questions that anyone sends in. We had a few. We were on a hot streak there for a while, but it seems to have dried up a little bit the post-Christmas run. So we need a couple of fresh ones there.
That is right there.
There it
Basketball
is.
Passport Pod at gmail.com. Maybe, you know what the problem is? I need to make it longer. I need it to
The
be more
Basketball Passport
specific.
Pod. Yeah.
Yeah, like the Basketball Passport Pod featuring Anthony Irwin and Leigh Ellis, just so that people know like who they're actually trying to send that email to.
Yeah. All right. We will see you on Sunday night.